G'day, Ben from Melbourne here, and today I'm going to enter into Miss 80's soundtrack tag Redux for 2022. I'll leave a link to the original tag down below, and I'd also like to begrudgingly thank Mike, the vinyl policeman, for dobbing me in at the end of his entry as a shout out of someone he'd like to see enter this comp, which is one of the rules. Yeah, so thanks, Mike. Now I feel obliged, and it's not going to be any Australian soundtracks, because otherwise I would just be showing Nick Cave and Warren Ellis over and over and again. I don't have heaps of soundtracks. Most of it's on CD, but I'm going to try and vinylize it as best as I can. Alright, let's get started with the first one. First question is, how many soundtracks do you own? I didn't actually count, but I'd say about 50 all up, and that includes vinyl and CDs, and I think I'll be showing you pretty much every soundtrack I've got on vinyl today with a few CDs mixed in. Next, first soundtrack I bought, and this one's probably not that uncommon. This was on CD. I'm pretty sure it was Reservoir Dogs. I think I might have bought it even before I'd seen the film at that stage. Pretty sure I saw Pulp Fiction first, so I may have bought Pulp Fiction before this one, but today I'm going to say Reservoir Dogs. I love how it's set out like the movie, how you're listening to a radio station with Stephen Wright's deadpan commentary in between and back announcing, and you know, just classic 60s 70s AM radio tunes. Next question is most recent soundtrack purchase. So because I don't buy lots of them, this is a couple of years ago, and this is the Johan Johansson soundtrack for the insane Nicolas Cage film Mandy. It's quite a nice package too. I'll just take that off so I can show you. I don't know if you can pick up the texture on there and on the inside. Pretty cool stuff. I actually came about Johan Johansson through hearing on Triple R radio. Nice red vinyl. Not a soundtrack of his, one of his actual albums which he composed, and it's I believe it's called Leaving Fortlandia, something along those lines. Can't remember off the top of my head, but yeah, intriguing stuff, and I've kind of kept an eye on him ever since. So that's Mandy by Johan Johansson. The film is a complete head trip. Fantastic stuff. Next question is most listened to soundtrack. So I'd probably have to say Tangerine Dream's Sorcerer, because to me, you know, Tangerine Dream already have a soundtrack-esque quality to their work. Yeah, it's dreamy and meditative, and this is just it's like listening to one of their regular albums and you put it on. Brilliant film. This is the remake by William Friedkin. I do love both versions. The original, which is Wages of Fear. So this is a really nice gatefold too. Cool back cover. See if the vinyl's interesting. Oh, it is. That's pretty cool. Couldn't remember. Well, maybe I should play it more than what I said I do. But no, seriously, it's probably out of all of these the most I listen to, because to me, to listen to soundtracks, got to be in a certain headspace, because yeah, it's generally if it's a score, it's made to complement the film. But anyway, all right. Next question is Best opening song to a soundtrack. And I'm going to go with Akira with the track Canada, which is, I'm not going to even attempt to describe it, but it's epic, full of Japanese drumming. It's a great start to the film too. It's a brilliant film. I love the film Akira. This is a really nice package too. Pretty cool stuff. And again, really cool. That's just a bit of backstory there. Oh, the vinyl's just black label job. And it's a double, so let's see what the other, or is it? Yes, it is. Oh, great artwork there from the film. A bit more information on that side. So yeah, and also just as an aside, the Melbourne electronic outfit Black Cab a few years ago did a reimagined version of the Akira soundtrack, and very lucky enough to see them perform that, and on the night they brought along Japanese drummers to complement their reimagining of the Akira soundtrack. It was a great show, and they had imagery from the film in the background. It was a really great experience. That's Akira. Right. Favorite soundtrack composer and score? Well, we've already talked about him once, and I'm going to have to say he's my favorite because I've got more of him than anything else, and that's Johan Johansson again. This one's a soundtrack to the sci-fi film Arrival. This is really intense. There's some amazing sounds on this. Hard to describe. I think it's he's using some kind of like horns, but they're slowed down or got some effect on them, and it just creates this really eerie tension in the film. That's again really nice packaging. I think they're just plain labels. These ones here, black vinyl. But everything by Johan Johansson I've heard so far, I really enjoy. Alright, next up, a movie with a lackluster soundtrack. Now, VC, this is the question where you're probably all going to hate me. So, before I answer this question, I would just like to say I absolutely love them. They're one of my favorite 60s bands. Just a great snarling R&B, bluesy garage rock stew led by a young Van Morrison. And this is where the hate in the comments begins, because after them, I cannot stand Van Morrison. I'm sorry, but I find it to be self-indulgent wank, and it's just not my thing. So to me, any film where his songs are used is lackluster. But I'm going to say the current film by Kenneth Branagh called Belfast, which to me when I read about it sounded really interesting, but then apparently it's all Van Morrison songs soundtracking it. So yeah, that's going to be a tough one to sit through for me, because I would like to see the film. So sorry, Van Morrison fans, but he's just not my cup of tea. All right. Soundtrack that is way better to the movie. Now, I'm stretching the rules a little bit here. So I'm going to say the Voyager Golden Record. So a while back I saw the documentary on the Voyager satellites and how they sent the Golden Record out in that satellite amongst a whole heap of other artifacts, which was to describe the human race. And so the record part of this, it has music from all different cultures. It's also got a welcome to the world in many different languages. And I feel that this soundtrack is better than the real thing when you think about what's currently going on with pandemics and war and the rise of right-wing politics. This is a much better soundtrack than what's going on in the film. Righto, what have we got next? Favorite artwork jacket or colored vinyl for a soundtrack. Now, this was easy. Another insane film. This from the film Beyond the Black Rainbow, and just check out that artwork. This is one of the weirdest, best films I've seen in a while. It's like it's all shot on video in the 80s. The soundtrack is incredible too. It's as creepy as hell. Yeah, I won't tell you about it in case you want to track it down, but it's a wild film and the soundtrack is really, really good. I don't know, the soundtrack kind of sounds like creepy 80s synths, but kind of timeless at the same time. So nice gatefold there. And so this covers the coloured, well, not coloured because it's a clear vinyl, but it's still pretty cool. So yeah, if you like weird movies, I highly recommend it, and I highly recommend this soundtrack as well. It's really, really cool. Beyond the Black Rainbow. Righto. Soundtrack that needs a reissue or official release. Well, this one came to mind straight away because Neil Young is reissuing everything, and it's been of such a great standard, and they sound great and the covers are good. But so far, the soundtrack to his really nuts film Journey Through the Past has not been reissued, and it'd be nice for that to get the treatment that all of these other albums have been getting, because they're all such beautiful packages and the sound is phenomenal. I thought maybe after Harvest, when he got to that point, he would release this because it was the next one in line, but you know, Neil, you never know what he's going to do. This is a great soundtrack. It's got a lot of live stuff on there and snippets from the film. Like the film, there's a lot of crazy imagery, but then you'll cut to them performing in the barn or live in concert, which is great to see him in full flight at the time. This is a pretty cool package too. That's the back cover. And I'll try not to drop everything, so that's just the inners. If I can hold that up properly. There's too much going on here right now. And so this is just a reprise or reprise, depending on where you're from. And that's a double album, but there's both records look the same, so you're just gonna have to trust me because there's lots of folding and unfolding to show you everything on this one. So yeah, Journey Through the Past would be well worthy of a reissue in part of Neil Young's archive series. What have we got? Bargain Bin soundtrack. Now, I really like the hip-hop group Public Enemy, and I love that era of the late 80s through to the early 90s, and this is the one where I probably stopped collecting their stuff, not because of I don't find them interesting anymore, that's just you can't have them all. But anyway, this one, nobody loved it. It's a soundtrack to Spike Lee's film He Got Game, and I found it for, I think it was $5 in Goldmine Records, secondhand shop in North Carlton in Melbourne. And I thought, that'll round out the collection quite nicely of the, 6 or so I have from that era. I've never actually seen the film, although I do like Spike Lee movies a lot, but I've never seen it around, and I'm not one of those cool groovy streaming cats who have it all worked out. So it's just Inna's there. There's Chuck, Flavor, Terminator X, and Professor Griff, who I think is the one who got him into a lot of trouble a while back in the 90s. A soundtrack that includes a favourite band or artist. So this was quite easy. Thought I'd pick the Australian film Ghosts of the Civil Dead, as this features Nick Cave, Mick Harvey and Blixa Bargeld doing the soundtrack. It's a futuristic film set in a prison. Nick Cave makes a memorable entrance in the film as a psychotic inmate. Love Nick Cave, but not a huge fan of his acting. Not a bad film, not the greatest film, but pretty interesting, stark soundtrack. Soundtrack from a movie that the actor performs on the soundtrack. Now this is an unusual one because this guy is a filmmaker and a musician, and this is a great indie film called The Billy Nair Show. Is his band, and the film is Stingray Sam. The American Astronaut was another one of his projects, and these are just great indie films which he had. It's so imaginative because there's obviously not a big budget on these films, and he's come up with these great, it's a kind of sci-fi musical but punk kind of songs in there. Really original film. I can't really think of anything else which I could compare it to, but yeah, the American Astronaut and this one Stingray Sam are really good fun, great films, funny, weird, everything you want in a film as far as I'm concerned. Okay, so there's a lot of questions, so this is taking a while, sorry. Band that performs in the movie. Show a band that performs in the movie. Okay, so I'm going to go for Wim Wenders' brilliant film Wings of Desire. And no, I'm not going to go for the Nick Cave performance in the film, although it's pretty amazing. I'm going to go for Crime in the City Solutions performance of Six Bells Chime. God. Anyway, yeah. When the characters step in the bar and Roland steps out and onto stage and in front of Simon Bonney, the singer, and plays those opening chords, it's, yeah, I can't take my eyes off them. It's the, even though it kind of takes me out of the story because it's, which is probably not meant to do, I still love that scene. There's actually quite a bit of Nick Cave music throughout this film, but for me, yeah, seeing Roland in his prime, brilliant stuff. Last movie watched that I have a soundtrack for. So, recently got this Werner Herzog collection of his films, which are a lot of his collaborations with Klaus Kinski, and yeah, challenging stuff, but really great stuff as well. And so Nosferatu was the one I'm going to pick because when I was watching it, the music, which is by Popol Vuh, is so creepy, and it really adds to the tension of the film, even though it's quite slow moving. It's brilliant soundtrack music. Very complimentary. Nice package. Whoop, dropping stuff all over the floor. There we go. It's the man on the back there, who's the brains behind Popol Vuh, whose name escapes me at the moment, and I cannot find it on the back cover, but will just love this record anyway. Sorry, just picking up stuff I'm dropping. Okay. RSD soundtrack score, so Record Store Day 1. Now, this is a complete guess. I think this was a Record Store Day release of the great manga film Ghost in the Shell. That sound in the background was the next lot of records I had lined up falling over. Brilliant film this. It's the classic what does it mean to be human sci-fi kind of thing, but a manga, but yeah, done in a very original way. And the music is brilliant, intense score, which stands alone very, very well. Okay, I'll just pick up all these ones that fell over. Right. Show a soundtrack from the year you were born. Well, I don't have a soundtrack from the year I was born, so I'm going to show a few movies from the year I was born, and you can work it out. So first, Wicker Man, the original film, not the recent one. William Friedkin's The Exorcist. Terrence Malick's Badlands. All fantastic films. And Martin Scorsese's Mean Streets. So yeah, I was born a long time ago. Getting towards the end, this is a really long one, sorry. A soundtrack blind buy. So I guess you could call this a blind buy, but in terms of I hadn't heard it and I just bought it because of it was another Johan Johansson soundtrack for Sicario, which happened to be amazing film as well. It's another intense one with another intense, brilliant soundtrack as well. Yeah, all his soundtracks have great gatefolds, don't they? Not a lot going on there, just the name of the film, and I think it's just black vinyl. Yeah, same deal with that one. Okay, we're getting there. Soundtrack on multiple formats. Well, this was tough, so I'll show you two. I've got Blade Runner on vinyl. Nice, nice, nice. And on CD. And I've got Blade Runner on vinyl, the new one. This is fantastic. Love it. It's as well, I was gonna say it's as good as Vangelis, but it's pretty damn close. I think it's Hans Zimmer did this, and he did an amazing job. Especially that bit where Harrison Ford is handcuffed to that little thing and it's sinking into the ocean and the water's coming up over his neck while Ryan Gosling's beating the crap out of the android. It's intense. And there's the CD. Why I've got both, I don't know. I just do. Actually, that could have been an RSD. Not sure. I don't keep up with that stuff. And the last one is a soundtrack that always lifts your mood. Now, these are soundtracks to a TV show, Flight of the Conchords. How can these not lift your mood? These are really funny, but also just great pop music as well. Really catchy, really good stuff. I particularly love, there's an episode where the guys go to a nightclub to meet girls and they turn up and there's not many girls and a lot of guys, and it's got the great song Too Many Dicks on the Dance Floor, which is just hilarious, but it's also unbelievably catchy and it'll end up in your head for days. But yeah, both of these are great. That's from the first series and that's songs from the second series. New Zealand's Flight of the Conchords. Great stuff. And lastly, what is it? A shout out to another channel that might do a response. So I'm going to put someone on the spot like you did to me, Mike the Vinyl Policeman, which I wasn't expecting at the end of your video. So I'm going to go with the great Ian from Broke with Audiophile Taste, and Sean from Sean Spins. Two great guys who I've had a bit to do with, and sorry to do that to you, but you were the first two who came to mind. And extra special, quick extra mention, because I always have to get the Australian content in, just really quickly. Soundtrack to Romper Stomper, great intense 90s film about racism in Australia. Warren Ellis, Nick Cave, of course. The Proposition, brilliant Australian film. And the soundtrack to the documentary Bombora about the surfing culture in Australia, of course, has the Atlantics on that. And one that I didn't know where to fit, but I just thought I'd show you because it's beautiful packaging, and that's the Reiichi Sakamoto Music for Film compilation. This is a really nice package, this one. That's the back cover there. Gatefold. Beautiful looking vinyl. And this has got stuff from all of, well, not all, but a lot of the soundtrack work Reiichi Sakamoto has done over the years. If you like his work, it's also worth checking out. There was a couple of years ago a great documentary about Reiichi Sakamoto, and I think he was working on the album Async at the time, and yeah, really interesting stuff, and a guy who comes at things from a really different angle. Love it. Anyway, I've gone for far too long. Thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you soon.